Hello, my wonderful viewers, and welcome to another episode of Betty Adams Overanalyzes. Today we are going to take a look at Transformers EarthSpark Season 1, What Dwells Within. Episodes somewhere between 19 and 20, depending on what subscription plan you are paying Paramount Plus for. Because, that affects how much they make for it. As usual, there will be a short spoiler-free section, followed by a longer full spoiler section, and I will warn you before the full spoilers come. In previous episodes of Transformers EarthSpark, we had cannibalism, torture, dismemberment, all of characters we are sympathetic to, and all of which are shown on screen in goring detail. Dripping bodily fluids, violent injury. Again, I must ask, what age group is this show for? It is rated TVY 7. That means it's supposedly suitable for 7-year-olds and above. I sincerely doubt that most parents would be comfortably showing this show to kids below 12 or 13, yet the ages of the human characters clearly show it to be aimed at that younger crowd. This episode really brought that home with some gruesome imagery, homaging some classic horror movies, and homaging as in recreating specific scenes beat for beat. Alright, are the standards for violence in children's shows slipping, or am I just being a prude? Please let me know in the comments below. I would not want to show this show to an 8 or a 9-year-old that I was watching. Too scary, too many dark images. But that's not the main point of this. Leave a comment below telling me you think if I'm being just a prude, because let's get on to the main route. Generally speaking, I don't review things I don't enjoy. Transformers EarthSpark, it's starting to become an exception because the quality of the writing on this show varies wildly. Not just between episodes, but within individual episodes. As I've said many times before, there are certain elements that you are primed to overlook in a Transformers show. Certain beliefs that you suspend. Physics, for one. 2-story-tall robots do not interact with human buildings and infrastructure without suspending belief in a few natural laws, at least. And any show with child protagonists is going to have to stretch belief in what children of good parents are able to do unsupervised. But there are limits to this. Every show develops characters certain ways, using certain tropes, and when character behavior abruptly changes, inexplicably and for no reason, especially when these are central characters with well-developed character traits, it is a glaringly obvious moment of just plain old bad writing. Then there are a pair of twined issues with cheap cartoons. Too much continuity and too little. Many cartoons are episodic, and what happens in one episode never affects the others. This way, it doesn't matter what order you air them in on traditional linear television or watch them in a YouTube binge. For instance, Johnny Quest, Phineas and Ferb, etc. and so on. But the Transformers franchise has always told overarching stories. There is a continuity from one episode to another, and it matters. The fandom cares when that continuity is broken. You can go on YouTube right now and find plentiful videos tracking continuity errors from color shifts to faction badges switching all the way going back to G1. Then there is the issue of clothing. And if you already watched the episode, you know what I'm getting at. In cheaper shows, the main characters always wear these same outfits, to the point that any damage taken will be miraculously healed as soon as the scene changes. It is way cheaper to animate a model that way. Kim Possible, Danny Phantom, Phineas and Ferb again, all decently budgeted shows. And yet the main cast gets one outfit that never really takes damage unless they're changing the character design for a new season. Even previous iterations of Transformers followed this rule, but EarthSpark did not. Of course, Mom Malto has her uniform, that of a national park ranger, not a state park ranger, like she's supposed to be, but that's a different issue. Every character has a full closet, and we see them wearing different clothes on different occasions. Sure, Mo has her favorite coat, but the outfits switch it up at a logical pace, especially Robbie's shirts. We've seen a bunch of different shirts for Robbie. what am I rambling on about here? As I said, there were two twined issues with this episode. Two major characters acting wildly out of character, and this is shown to be a huge, huge issue by the continuity of clothing. And the thing is, writers could have solved the issue with just a word of explanation, but they didn't. And that lack of explanation undermines the whole theme of the episode. Again, if I missed the explanation, please tell me in the comments. I'd really kind of hope that I'm just missing things here and the writing's not this bad, but that's all I'm going to say in the spoiler-free section. If you want to click away now, I will give you time to wipe that potato chip grease off of your fingers and check the links below the video to get a copy of my books. The absurd Humans Are Weird series, short comedic sci-fi, and the tragic Dying Embers Flying Sparks series. Baby aliens and mixed species families. Now, on to spoilers. First, the good. There are two excellent references done in homage of our past great sci-fi movies. One is beat for beat recreation of iconic scene from a movie I have never, and if my own will holds power in this universe, will never watch, because I am a wimp and scary movies be scary. This is what I mean when I'm a prude, and I'd be actually very interested in what your opinion of is this show appropriate for 8-year-olds. But Betty, you demand, if you've never watched the scene that they are playing homage to, how do you know what the movie is? Good question, my wonderful viewers, because I have the internet. Memes are a thing, and that image, as I said, is iconic. If you watch the episode, you know what I'm talking about. The second reference was more than a bit gruesome, both in of itself and in the context of what it implied was going on. The most obvious was bad enough. Being trapped in amber goo to be eaten at the whim of a monster is horrific. The association with the scene where her face finds the guy in the original amber ooze suggests that the monster had or was going to lay its eggs in the captured seekers. Both are clever references to great sci-fi, but again, what age is this show supposed to be for? Only so much is going to go over the heads of an 8-year-old before the trauma starts kicking in. Then there was the actual issue of the objectively terrible writing in this episode that muddied the whole thing for me. Robbie's shirt was still torn. Robbie Malto is very sick. Mom and Paul Malto are nowhere to be seen. Put these all together, you have a major plot hole, writing twist. EarthSpark is a continuity show from a history of continuity shows. What happens in one episode is supposed to have an effect on the rest. Characters are supposed to remain consistent. Mom and Pop Malto run a tight-knit family. Their kids are rarely alone for any length of time. Either Dorothy or Alex is there with them through everything, not hovering over them, but definitely there within call and definitely watching out for them when they're not feeling well. They love their children and they care for their children in the active sense of the verb. It was an unusual thing when they both left at once to go get the lumber to open up the side of the house. But in this episode, they're just inexplicably not there, as if this were a Phineas and Ferb episode. Rob is clearly obviously sick. His mother witnessed him clinically die in the training room. His heart stopped. For several seconds, she was holding a medically dead child in her arms. She held his shaking body in her arms. And that scene, a terrified mother holding her child in her arms after watching him literally die and come back to life, that is how the last episode ended. In this episode, we watch Robbie wearing the exact same shirt with the arm ripped off, staggering along with the rest of the children through the forest. No parents in sight, no mention of parents, no mention of avoiding the attention of parents. Look, I don't know how things went down in your house, but every household that I know of, if a child had just nearly died, that kid was on forced bed rest. If a child was even half as sick as Robbie, with those bags under his eyes and staggering, even if by some miracle he had managed to hide the growths on his neck from his mother, that kid would be put to bed and sat on until he was better. But there is no mention of any bed rest. In fact, from this episode, the senior Maltos might as well not exist. Every other outing can easily be explained as parent-permitted excursions with children at full health and with trusted adults like Alita 1, Or, and isn't this weird to say, Megatron, we'll get into that in the next review, even that terribly written trip to Philly, which was another example of bad writing, was excused by stating that they had a time limit while their parents slept, clearly showing that they snuck out. This is a two-parent household, with both of the parents having schedules that can accommodate the flexibility to stay home with the kids when sick. Either mom or pop should have been with Robbie, checking his vitals, feeding him some traditional family broth. So where are they? Now, of course, there are possible ways to explain this. Maybe Alex Malto was lecturing at some distant university and couldn't make it home in time. Maybe Dorothy was going to take the day off, but there was an emergency that caught her attention, and she made Robbie swear to stay in bed while the others watched him. Maybe the kids just decided to sneak off. Except there would be no need to. If this was a trip to save them all, Alex Malto would have gladly carried his son on his back to find the cave water if they thought it would be a fix. So would Dorothy. Both would have seen the cave water as a great idea and something worth pursuing for the safety of their children. Maybe the kids didn't, it's possible the kids didn't want to bother them. That's not something that fits with any of the children's characters, certainly not with their collective character, but it's a possibility. Maybe, but we are never told any of this. And that is the bad writing. The show could have solved this by dropping a single line of dialogue. One of the kids would say, "We need to hurry before Mom notices we're missing." Something like that. There's plenty of time for that in this episode. It has plenty of filler scenes, plenty of filler time. But none is given. We don't know why the super competent parents, Alex and Dorothy Malto, are suddenly just absent. And this is all complicated by the issue of Robbie's shirt, the one he tore in the previous episode. That thing would be sweaty, nasty, and icky. Nearly the first thing any mother would have done with a kid in Robbie's shape would be a hot bath and an inspection to see if he was hurt. Now, the previous episode starts in the morning and goes on a while. This episode likewise starts in the morning and goes on till evening. Given that, this strongly suggests the Maltos went home and rested for an entire night between. As does Megatron's and Optimus's stationing in the ghost office suggests that at least that much time has passed. One day, one night, possibly more. So why is Robbie wearing the same shirt? If it was a mistake or concessions to the limitations of 3D animation, it's a weird one. We know that they have other shirt models, and the fact that he's still wearing that one strongly implies negligence on the part of Mom and Paul Malto if it's a part of the story. So what gives? What's going on there? But let's end this on a good note. Despite the fact I think it was a little too scary for 8-year-olds, the Deep Dweller was a spot-on monster. Scary, imposing, believable in the context of the world. We've already established that Quintus Prime was poking around on Earth. We've already established that the Ember Stone acts with very little prompting. It makes sense that one of Quintus Prime's mistakes, the Deep Dweller, would show up in caverns. And it's also believable that an organization like Ghost would build its base in a place where they could keep a close eye on something that alien, or would simply be attracted to the same things that drew the Quintus Prime there in the first place. But for now, where were those kids' parents? I'd love to hear your theories in the comments. And why did Robbie still have that shirt on? I would love to hear your comments and theories in the comments below. Did I miss some vital clue from the episode? Or did they just really fumble the writing on this one? Hit that like and subscribe button. Go check out the links below the video to get yourself a copy of my book, Humans Are Weird, or Flying Sparks. Laugh or cry as you like. Peace out, my wonderful viewers. Do you love awesome science fiction books? Of course you do. If you check out the links below the video, you can get yourself a copy of Comedy or Tragedy. Humans Are Weird. I have the data. Humans Are Weird. We took a vote, and Humans Are Weird, Let's Work It Out are the 3 comedy short story books available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kobo by Rakuten, Google Play. There's even some copies at Powell's Books, the famous used bookstore in Portland, Oregon. dying embers, dragons, aliens, and things that go boom in the night, and soon flying sparks. More dramatic, traditional science fiction novels are also available at Amazon. Flying Sparks is still on the pre-order page. If you want a copy, you can email me by contacting the website to pre-order yourself a copy. It's still being edited. So check out the links below the video to get yourself a copy of some wonderful science fiction.